Hey, everybody, it's Thursday.
And welcome to... No, it's not.
Oh, it's Tuesday. Oh, my gosh.
I swear we didn't plan that. But welcome to the first of this week's edition of the Night Bite. I guess we should have practiced this whole thing with Harold.
No. The thing is that we're just so excited because it's finally almost ice fishing season, right? And we get to talk about one of our favorite things, the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo.
Well, and this is a big shift because all the way up until this point, we have been mostly open water focused. And so it is a big shift, as we go into ice season. We load up 2 podcasts a week, right, to talk about all the stuff to get everyone ready for ice season. And I think that's good. We should be taking our own advice because we were on the lake last week and water temperatures were a lot lower than I expected them to be. Low 40s. You're laughing. I don't know if it's at me or the water temps, but we're closer to ice season than I realized.
Yeah, I mean, there's still quite a ways. There may be some ice coming up here in some backwaters that are a couple feet deep, but for us, we have
80 degrees in summer.
But we have a little bit yet, but that's okay. A couple weeks before getting into ice fishing allows us to get all of our stuff ready. I was out cleaning ice shack windows today. I was patching up little abrasion holes. I was finding all my stuff, so it gives us a good break. But you were right. Like, we went from 50 degrees to 40 degrees in a matter of a week and a half. And so it does tend to go pretty quick. Although the extended forecast looks like it's going to be pretty mild, except for 1 or 2 days that are going to be chilly. Unfortunately, it's one of our fishing days, so we're going to have to bundle up. But that's okay. Good practice for the winter to come.
And I guess with that, we are going to ultimately have to winterize our boat because we haven't done that yet. And to be honest, we always talk about, keeping the boat out in fall and looking for all the clues. Where are the fish setting up? So you know where to set up in ice, right? Where are the green weeds? Take note of all these things. And I've done none of that, I have to admit. And so that's one of the things that if we get out on the water this weekend, I hear that there's going to be quite a weather pattern coming through, right? But if we get out there, these are the things that I'm going to start looking for.
Yeah, I mean, we know a little bit. There's been some road construction we've been avoiding, so we haven't been going to a lot of our normal spots and this and that. We've been on a really good bite in a couple spots too, so it's hard to leave those fish to go look for more fish when there's fish biting. So but last weekend was kind of tough. The wind kind of blew us around. We stuck to our pattern. Small and medium baits just kind of ruled the roost. Fish were picking them up here and there. It wasn't the tight schools that we were seeing. They were scattered more along the bottom, but a lot more just casting and retrieving and picking up fish.
And casting and retrieving did seem to work best because fish did seem to want that moving pattern. I wasn't quite as successful with my bobber, right? But you are right. They were tight to the bottom. And I think part of that is response to the weather. And there's going to be more weather to come. So yeah,
could be. But like we were saying earlier, this is our first edition of our Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo series. We bring it to you every year as a thank you to our vendors, kind of giving the vendors a chance to give you a little preview of what they're going to have at a show, and just for all of us to be excited for the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo. It's always a fun time. We're going to be doing it two times a week, coming up here all the way up until the ice fishing show. So be sure to tune in, say hi to the vendors before you see them at the show, see what they're bringing, and should be a fun time.
So I guess without further ado, bring in our first guest. Oh, it looks like you have him muted. Wait.
There we go.
Okay, now thanks so much for being here.
That's right. Didn't want to hear me talk anyways.
No, that's the opposite, because we almost got to chatting before the show started and we almost missed the beginning of all of this. So.
That's all right.
So,
that's all right.
Yeah, for people who are just meeting you here tonight, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so Jason Trout, the owner and founder of Ice Hawk Fishing Gear. So basically, we developed a all electronic ice fishing tip up. We basically redesigned everything on the tip up. I guided for 12 years by the Brainerd Lakes area in central Minnesota. So I had nothing but issues with traditional tip ups. Unlike where you guys are at, you guys are a little bit warmer. I was quite surprised when I went to Oshkosh last year and met you guys for the first time of how far south I actually was. That kind of was an eye opener for me. So you guys don't deal with the cold sub-zero, freezing your butt off kind of thing, Not saying you guys don't get it at all, but it's not as prevalent as we get up here. On a traditional tip up, we had lots of issues, with flags freezing down or the wind blowing them off. And the shaft sometimes would get stiff because it got, cool. So anyways, we sat down and redesigned the whole tip up from the very top all the way down to the bottom. So we came up and patented our own system on everything.
That is awesome. And I feel like I was so excited to be here tonight because when you go to the ice shows each year, you never quite know what is going to be
the hot thing.
Yes, thank you. You know exactly where I'm going with this. The one thing that everybody talks about, right? And I hope that was you guys last year. People were so excited. They love to see what you have. Everybody, I feel like your booth was always full. And so I think this is great that we're kind of kicking off this year's season, having you guys here. So do you have one in front of you or should I have Josh pull it up on the website?
I do have one right here.
Perfect. So tell us more.
So I'll kind of start at the bottom down here. So we came up with so when I guided, we did spearing for northern pike and whitefish. It was kind of our main gig. But then we did a lot of combo trips. So we would do like a morning of walleye fishing, or maybe we'd go chase some panfish and then hop in the spear house midday when things slowed up everywhere else. So we were constantly changing out baits. And every time you change out a bait, you got to retie a line up, or you cut something off, or you're creating snells all the time. So that's kind of how we came up with this whole system down here. Is a traditional tip up, you get two bait settings. You either get a light or you get the heavy. And the heavy sometimes is too heavy, or the light is too light, depending on the size minnow you're using or the bait you got. So we ended up creating this whole adjustable bait tension here. So it's a magnetic system. You use a bobber stop, set your depth. And right now I got this bottom draw, I got a full 2 pounds of pull to get that to pop off. But then let's say I want to run a little smaller sucker minnow or a shiner, I can back that off. Now I got less resistance on there. So we were just at the North Metro Ice Show, and a guy stopped by, and he bought a bunch of more spools from us because he pan fishes with this religiously. He said it's the best thing he's ever had because he runs Euro larvae with like a 64th ounce jig, and you can back this off so sensitive that it basically takes next to nothing to pop that off. And then on the front side, so that took care of my issues with my bait selection. Because like I said, they're either too heavy or too light depending on your bait. So now you can dial it in exactly for every minnow. And then on the front side here, you push a button in here and you can take the spool right off. I can pop that off, grab a different spool, snap that on. I'm fishing for something completely different setup. So in a matter of seconds, I got multiple spools rigged up for all my species. I have some doubled up, for like pike or walleye, just in case I do get broke off. I can just swap it out and I'm back fishing right away. So that was one of the main things that we tackled right away, was that adjustable bait system and the removable spool, so we can stay fishing longer. And I don't have to deal with the flag and all the settings. Then as we move up here, of course, we'll get the legs in the middle here. Those got a hard stop built right in. So they spread out. It's a 16-inch diameter, I believe it is. So it fits over a 10-inch hole just fine. Of course, all folds up real slick. We put them right in our rod bags. That way we can get 5-gallon pails full of 20 different tip-ups. Everything's all stored nicely. Then up here is our power button. So you'll hear one beep when it turns on. And then right now the unit's armed, so it's waiting. If I can get this all on the screen here at one time. So it's waiting for rotation of that spool. Once it picks that spool up is when it trips. I'm going to shut the alarm off or it'll drive me nuts. So right now the green light's going, telling you it tripped. And it might be hard to see on here, but every revolution now that you see that blue light flash towards the bottom, right up in this area, that's giving you a live feed that it's taken line out. And then after 5 revolutions, we get a white light that turns on. And then we get one at 20 and one at 40. So it starts climbing its way up. So you have an idea how much line's been pulled out. That was the other frustrating thing. How often do you look at your tip-ups? Not enough. So it's like every 10 minutes you're peeking out the window and you're like, oh, flag's up. How long's it had? I have no idea. So now you have an idea of how much line's been pulled out. So you know if you're fishing walleyes, do you give it a little more time? Or is all 3 lights lit up? It's like, oh, that's got it had it a long time already, so I can go ahead and take it right away. So it gives you some information before you get out there. That buzzer, again, was optional. You can turn that on or off. We run it all the time, especially when we're in our portables, because we can hear it through the portable. Or if I'm standing around BSing, having a drink, never paying attention to your tip-ups. Like, that's what a tip-up's for, is not to pay attention to. So we have that buzzer, so you hear that thing from way out there. Also have a flashlight built in. So we have it set up where it does a 180 or a 360. So there's 2 halves of this tip up. So you got lights on both sides. So I can hit the flashlight here, turn on the backside, and then if I hold it longer, it'll go to 360.
That's crazy, actually.
So that's kind of the gist of everything. And then on the backside here, we got 2 AA batteries. We're getting anywhere from 80 to 150 hours on the alkalines, depending on the brand and, of course, how cold it is. But the guys running straight lithiums in here, we're getting over 300 hours out of them.
Nice.
So really good battery life.
Is that if you're not catching fish or if you're catching a ton of fish?
A little bit of both. The more the lights go off and the longer they go off. So like at our shows, for example, they're pretty much blinking all day, as you guys seen, walking around. We'll get a whole show. We'll get 8 to 10, sometimes 12 hours, depending on how much we're playing with it, of just lights blinking. But in the arm position, like it is on right now, we'll get over 300 hours out of it.
That's awesome. No, I didn't mean to tease you.
Well, and that's good that you have testing with the alkaline and the lithium, because I don't know, I've been looking into rechargeable batteries recently, just because there's I have some stuff that requires a lot now, and now they have the batteries. I've been out of the rechargeable battery game for a while, and now they have batteries with like USB-C ports in them. And so you can literally pick up like a 12-pack of AA batteries for $30. And you can charge them off of your power box if they do run out. So you can keep a 4-pack of batteries in your power box. If that runs out, then you can just swap them and charge them at the same time. So that's great to know that you kind of have that capability with that thing. It almost makes it rechargeable out on the ice.
Yeah, so what we recommend, so some of our like one of my good friends, he's laid off for the winter. He does construction, so I'm a little jealous of him, to be honest, but we won't go there. So he fishes pretty much every day. So he bought, like you were saying, he found them on Amazon. I know some of the local stores carry them, but he found the rechargeable lithiums, and it's an 8-pack. And it charges them all up. It stores them. It maintains the lithiums. It's all built in, and that's what he uses on it. And he's like, I actually switched it out once last year, and he's out just about every day with it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, there's a big difference in your batteries. The alkalines are affected by the temperature pretty extremely. I think it's around 0 degrees they start freezing, so they start losing power. Anything colder than that. And then the lithiums, of course, can handle cold. I think it's 40 below before they'll start to freeze. Don't quote me on that. It's 30 or 40 below right in that area before they'll start losing their power. And then the lithium ions start freezing at 32 degrees. That's why your augers, everybody's storing them in their coats to keep them warm because they can't handle the cold. But what they can handle very, very well is the recharges. They can handle thousands of recharges, where a straight lithium battery can only handle 150 to 250 charges before the battery finally can't handle a charge anymore. So keep that in mind when you're shopping for batteries.
Yeah.
Well, but I feel like, it's kind of silly to talk about batteries. Like it feels like we almost strayed from the topic, but not, because this is one of the best reasons to come to an expo. Really, because seriously, when you are able to come because let's say you've heard about Ice Hawk online, you've seen these tip ups, your friend has one, whatever, you visit the website, there's tons of great information, but it's still this kind of stuff that is very helpful. So I appreciate it. All of your background knowledge, because it helps you stay out on the ice. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the goal, is to help. It doesn't matter if it's for my tip up, or if you're using it for something completely different. Just to know that difference, what those batteries are actually can handle out on the ice, is going to make you stay on that ice longer. So even if you got it in some completely different product, that's what it's about, is sharing that information. Then a little
go ahead.
Little tip I got here. So for people that are looking at the tip ups, or maybe they have them, I did bring this up in the show a lot here, but you can see here I have 2 bobber stops. I didn't trim my line, so they're really long, but I run my one for my depth. That's what I set my depth with, just like you do slip bobber fishing. And then I have another one down here, and that there, if I get broke off, if a pike breaks me off, or I break it off on a fish, my line clip here that's got the magnet in it doesn't slide off the end of the line. I found that out the hard way real fast. We'll add a second one there. So that's what I try to remember to tell everybody, is to put 2 bobber stops on there so you don't lose your line clip.
That is a good tip.
That's a really good tip.
Well, and right before that, you had mentioned, like batteries keeping you out on the ice. I think these tips, those are things that keep you out on the ice. But the other thing that I think really does help is that system of the lights. I think that's one of the things that people talked about. So now you mentioned that, but I'm kind of coming right back to that a little bit, because I think that is really so impressive. And I think so often, well, I guess, okay, because I have a lot of different kinds of tip ups. And there's some that I like and some that maybe I don't use so often, right? But it's always that moment where you see that flag go up, or the indicator or whatever, and then it's like, is it turning? Is it going? Is the fish running? And so that is what I think caught my attention most, is that you found a way to integrate like a signal. So even as you're running up to that tip up, you don't even have to stop and assess in that moment. And the reason that I love that so much is because, not just, I guess, for myself, like selfishly, I just love to know that, right? But when you are in a situation, you're out there with friends, maybe you have kids on the ice, right? People who are especially new at this. And when you're all running up and they get so excited and they just want to rip it out of the hole and go, right? New people, that's what they always do. Oh, go. But when you can kind of use those lights and coach them through that moment, like, wait, there was a strike, but maybe no line got taken out. Like sometimes a pike will just like bump it hard, like leave it for a minute. Or to be like, oh my gosh, now all the lights are flashing. Like you should grab that, but to be able to talk through that moment, I think is so important.
Yes, totally agree with that. It gives you so much information, depending on the species you're fishing, like panfish, for example. How many times have you seen them come up and hit like a crappie minnow, and they'll pull like 6 inches, then they spit it back out. And then, your bobber will pull it back up and he comes right back and got to hit it again, so it's like, so now you got some idea what's going on. Or maybe it's a light bite, there's many times we've been out fishing, and it seems like it always seems to be a light bite when I get out fishing. It's never those hard, hitting ones. Oh, you should have been here yesterday kind of deal. But
we fish the same lakes.
Yeah, for sure. But it gives you so much information, because if you do have that light bite walleye, for example, it's like, okay, generally most people say, oh, let it take it a foot under, if you're bobber fishing kind of deal, let it take it down that foot and then take it. Well, our 5 revolutions, depending on how full your spool is, but if it's, about half to 3/4 full, is about a foot of line. So that's why we timed it that way. So we have an idea. So most walleye guys, that white light will turn on about the time that walleye sits on the bottom. So if it's a light bite, now you can give it some time. It's like, I'm going to sit back, might crack a brewski or something and see what's going to happen, instead of just rushing over, not knowing what's going on, because you have no idea how much line's been pulled out. Mm-hmm. So now you got that information to help you make a better decision, but if it's been a really good bite, they clamp and they're hanging on right away. Well, now, like, okay, I can take them right away, but then again, you get those days that they're just super light biting. Now you have that option now to watch that and see what's going on. You know, it helps with hookups for sure.
So I'm sitting here, and I know that over here we have a big infatuation with tip up indicators. So like deep freeze Bluetooth indicators, and what's the other one? What's the big one? The other big one.
It starts with an R, right?
I can't.
Flashers.
Yeah, Vulture. There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Vulture.
I should
I
should
know.
be on that.
But we got to go to.
Yeah. So I'm sure you get this question at shows quite often. But does your stuff work with those types of indicators?
No, everything that we design is built inside, so there's no add-on anything. So it's a one complete unit. Everything's built inside of it.
Cool.
Yep.
That is awesome. The only thing that isn't built inside is your ability, I guess, to change out all of those reels. Well, no, I guess that's a silly way to transition, right? But it is true. I love the ability that you can just change, because we were talking before about, controlling that bite or setting that hook right at the right timing and all of that. But there's just sometimes where you go out with a plan and it's not going to work, no matter how bad you want, right? And so to be able to transition from one bite to the other is sometimes what puts fish on the ice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's many times, just like you just said, is, you go out there, you got that plan because this is what worked last time I was out there. And then you get back out there and that thing's soaking and it's like, man, I'm graphing fish, but nothing's hitting it. And so now you can just grab another spool, quick swap it out, and then get back fishing. And then now I go back into my portable where it's nice and warm. Then I retie up a new bait. I'll put a new jig on or a new hook or whatever. So I'm not out there with frozen hands, or I got to pull the tip up all the way back in, and now it's not fishing for me. So I'm losing time catching fish on it too. So yeah, it gives you a lot of options there.
So I know in the last few years, it's been a little bit of a trend to start putting fly line on tip ups, just because it doesn't stick to the ice, it doesn't freeze into a ball.
Yep.
Is that something that works with this?
It will, yes. The only thing you got to watch there is your bobber stops, because the bobber stops like to bite into that so hard that it'll actually peel that coating off of that fly line. Mm-hmm. So that's about the only thing you got to watch, is you don't over tighten like you do on mono. You usually get on it pretty hard. If you do that on a fly line, you're going to bite right through that coating, and then now you can't slide it around. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, fly lines work really well. And that was the other design we did too. Our tip up here overall length is like 26 inches, I believe it is. So we designed it so when our legs are deployed, the ice is setting right here, and this thing is setting under the water 10 inches. So we actually have one of the deeper spools in the water just for that reason, is to keep that away from that surface where that water is getting real cold up there all the time. So that's why we designed that deeper. So also, and as not so much down by you guys, but obviously you head north, the farther north you go from you guys on up, you start getting more and more snow on the ice. You get like that slush layer that refreezes, and now the water's that far below the actual ice top, and you got to like try to somehow get your spool in the water so don't freeze up. That's why we went with that deep spool in there. So you don't have to spend so much time trying to prep that spot for a tip up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I do always hate that.
So one thing with the spool in the water, I know that a lot of our angling affiliates around here, you like to use, beaver dams, and inevitably those things get frozen into the ice. And so somebody's always out there either with some kind of ice breaking device, or they're just like ripping spools off of their tip ups. So if your device gets frozen in, like, how do you recommend getting that back?
Yeah, that's a great question. When we designed this, I went with 3 legs on purpose. So I have that kind of star shape, or whatever you want to call it, triangle. So we did that on purpose for the fact that, well, one, it sets on the ice because ice is never truly flat. You know, in theory, it's on a flat plane, but it's rough, bumpy all the way through. So it sets on that real nice with the 3 legs. But it also gives us so much room around the hole. So if a guy does use a chisel or spud bar, depending where you're from and what you want to call it, there's plenty of room to get in there to chip that ice out if it does freeze in thick enough. But we do recommend throwing a hole cover on it, you know, one of those foam hole covers. I know some of them, like there's the Bush Light. I don't remember the brand to be off the top of my head. I know Beaver Dam makes some too, and they work great too. I think all the hole covers are awesome. My favorite one though, with our tip up, I'm not affiliated with them at all. It's just being out on the ice and trying every one there is that Thermoset makes one. It's a bigger diameter and it's a little bit thicker. So it seems like it insulates a little bit longer. So, and our legs set right on top of that one, where everybody else is a little bit smaller diameter, and my legs don't quite sit on it as good. So with my legs sitting on top of that Thermoset brand, it helps hold that down to the ice, and the wind can't get underneath it to start cooling things down under there.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I'm interested to see. I'm gonna bring something, I think, to the show. I just want to see how it fits, because last year we talked to another company that was I think it's called Hole Heaters, and they're out of Minnesota too. And I just want to see how that sits on something like that.
Yeah, and I have not tried any of that. So that is on my to-do list for this winter. Same thing as what you want to try. I want to see how that works with it. And I know a lot of guys use bubblers. I know down by you guys, bubblers work awesome. I have talked to a few people up in like northern Minnesota that's used bubblers and not very good outcomes. You're pumping 40 below air into the water and it just freezes that much quicker for them. So again, it's geographic dependent, you know, and that was probably one of my biggest surprises when I went down to your guys' expo. Like I was saying in the beginning, how far south I really was, and the mentality everybody had. Everybody's like all about keeping their holes open, and which is awesome. But where I fished, you can't keep a hole open unless you're out there every 3 minutes skimming. It's just cold, you know. So yeah, there's different mentalities for sure as it changes in geography.
That is actually really interesting. Gosh, it gets me excited for ice, to be honest. I don't know why that, but so as we are thinking towards ice season, one of the things that I love about tip ups is it helps you really to cover that water, because in early ice is when there is the most weed patches available, or, you know, and I'm not saying that it's the most ice available. You don't always have the lake all frozen up, right? But when you have big weed patches close to shorelines and stuff like that, sometimes your ability to cover water is so helpful. So I always love something like the Ice Hawk, because then you have something that's light, something that's portable, something that you're not dragging a million things out on the ice, and you can just set up and get going to ice season.
Yeah. Well, and then like you were talking in your fishing report, you know, about you paying attention more to your green cover and your weeds where they're going to be at. So you know where to target right away early ice. So when I was guiding, one of the things I would do, I'd bring my kids with. They were young, you know, 8 years old or whatever. That first, you know, 4 inches, when we finally had good, safe ice, we'd throw ice skates on and bring our GPS with, and I'd just go ice skate, and I'd be marking all these holes as I'd go down the shorelines. That was a great way to cover a lot of ground real quick, and you could see right through the ice.
See, that's so cool. I'm going to be honest. I think I saw somebody they actually weren't on ice skates, so I love that, right? But I do think I saw somebody for the first time last year, like walking around looking for weed beds. And it occurred to me in that moment that was such a good idea. Like, why do people not do that? Because to be able to walk around and mark them, like, it doesn't matter. Put it on your Google Maps or something, whatever GPS that you have. For late ice season, you're going to want to know those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you got like your Navionics and stuff, and you can pin on there. I use Onyx Hunt a lot because I can label things so much more detailed on there, and it still shows me where I'm at on the lake. Of course, I don't have the contour map, but Most lakes you have a pretty good idea where you're at if it's one you've been to before. But yeah, now you can buzz around and check all them out.
But that's a really great point because, especially I keep hearing these reports online, whether it's true or not, we'll find out, right? But it's supposed to be this super snowy winter is what I keep hearing. I don't know. And so that is the thing, though, is when you have a year where there is not as much snow, sometimes those weed beds, they stay greener. But years like apparently we're going to have where there's a lot of snow, sometimes you really lose a lot of those weed beds. And so when you have 1 or 2 marks that you can go and check, I mean, that's better than none, right? But if you can go out early season and mark multiple spots, that's something that's going to help you long run.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I just want to throw this in here quick. You mentioned Onyx Hunt. There is Onyx Fish, and they do have some contours on there. It's pretty awesome, and you could use that to mark your stuff too. And they're still working on that Android app. I keep bugging them, but that's a great application. Has your weather and stuff on it. But Google Onyx Hunt, Onyx Fish. All good ways to keep track of that stuff.
Yep, absolutely. And then even take your so like right now you're probably targeting more of your maybe 10 foot and shallower type of weeds is kind of what you're probably targeting. But start marking your deep, your 12 to 14 foot, coon tails, because those are going to stay green the latest in the season. So I'll keep that in mind. So as those start dying off up shallow because they need a ton of sunlight and you start getting that snow pile up, there's generally the first ones to start dying, and then everything starts working out to that deeper edge.
That's actually a really great tip. The type of weed makes a big difference, but also as fish are, I don't know, midwinter patterns. I always think of fish like in cribs and stuff like that, kind of out in that deep. And so if you can find, do I call that a transition area where they're in that weed bed and that not super deep, not shallow area, right? I think, but fish go there to eat. And so that's the other thing about ice fishing is you can plop down, you can put a graph in the water, you could say, hey, I landed on fish, but if it's not the eating fish, if it's not the biting fish, then you're SOL.
Yep, absolutely.
I guess that's why you bring different kinds of bait for a tip up. But that is, I guess, one other great thing. Josh has your website pulled up on this other screen here. It just, but the front of your website is a crappie. You don't even have to bring it up. I guess it doesn't really make a difference. But it's funny because whenever I think tip up, whenever I think, well, and I guess this is a little bit of a non-traditional tip up to begin with, but I love that reminder that it can be set so delicate even for a light crappie bite. So. Mm-hmm. Oh, now I'm just distracted watching you watching you scroll through the website. Yeah. I'm like, oh, ice season.
So you came to Wisconsin Ice Expo last year. We mentioned that before. Your booth was super packed, and we didn't get to ask you. So, did you do really pretty well at the expo? Where was it received, or did you just get a lot of like, well, I'm gonna stick with my beaver dams?
It was a mixed bag. I love beaver dams, so don't take anything to heart. Right. I got plenty myself, but I would say it was about a 50-50 mix. You got your diehard beaver guys, which rightfully so, because it is a great product. And then you have the guys that were on the fence. And then I think there was the people that didn't want to be seen walking around without a beaver dam, so they were scared to buy one. But the online sales afterwards was really well. We did real well at the show too. So Wisconsin ended up being our number 1 state. So if that says anything to you guys.
No, that's awesome. The only reason I ask is I wonder if are you thinking of maybe offering like a 3-pack, because we can carry 3 of these around with us a person over here, unlike you guys in Minnesota that are relegated to 2.
Correct.
We can have 3. So, maybe sweeten the pot a little bit at the expo. You never know.
Yep, I thought you were going to ask for green and gold magnets.
Oh, well.
Yeah, the colors are kind of random because they ran out of the correct material. So we got blue, we got black, we got some green.
That's
So you may not get exactly the blue.
yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, and
That's that part's underwater.
the other thing, when you were asking about, the tip up freezing in, as you can see there, we have extra legs. So if you do hit one of these legs, all you got to do is back the screw out and the leg comes right off and you can put a new one on.
Well, and that's one of the great advantages about spending your money on a quality product is that you take the time to offer parts, right? There's so often things nowadays you don't fix. You break it and then you go buy a new one. This way you're able to replace your spools, replace your legs, replace the magnets that you lost down the hole because you didn't put an extra slip knot on there. Like those are the types of things that are great that companies like yours, it's great that you have that forethought and you're able to extend that dollar for your customers a little bit where they can keep their main product and service it into the future.
Yeah. And that spool wrap is something that we just came out with for this season, which I have one right here. So it's like 10.5-inch long spool wrap. Put your hook right through the grommet here. And then now you can just wrap that right up and store it. And it all stays nice and neat. So you don't have all the... So it doesn't look like Christmas lights when you pull it out of your bag.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, I like that a lot because I always hate when everything's all wrapped up and it's all a mess like that. So when you can pull it out and just be ready to go, that's super helpful. Look at you scrolling through like that. That's so funny. Because
the older I get, that one meme, where it shows when you're in your 20s and then now in your 40s, and it's one's really clear and the other one's really blurry. I'm starting to believe that a lot more. So it's hard to see the line to tie it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people who are coming to the expo, are you going to have these out? Is this something that people will be able to see and test for themselves?
Yep, absolutely. Yep, we at all the shows we go to, including the Wisconsin Expo there. We have the products out there. We will show you a demo if you haven't really seen them, or if you want more detailed demo, we can do that right there. You can grab them, you can play with them. You can set them up. You can play with the adjustable line tension on it. So you kind of get a feel for that. So yeah, totally all hands on. That's what the whole show's about, is get your hands on it and see what kind of quality and everything there is.
That's awesome.
I think people are going to be excited to see that line tensioner because, like you're showing, it is so adjustable. I'm doing the motion just like you did, right? But the other thing that I'm really excited to see is that spool and how it just swaps out, because you just make it look so easy. But I also know it's a sturdy enough product to catch a big fish, and so to make those things both happen, that's just something so cool to be able to test and see in person.
Yes. Yep. It takes a little bit, the first time or two that you do it, it takes a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, now you can see that button there. So yeah, it's just kind of a twist and it snaps right on. And then I just push up and then pull out at the same time. So it just pops in and out super quick and easy.
That's awesome. And is that a stainless steel spring?
Yes.
Nice.
It's actually steel, but it's a zinc coated. It's a triple coated.
Nice. That's awesome. So, okay, so I'm assuming that you guys have Facebook or some sort of social media.
Yep.
And you probably like seeing your stuff tagged, or you like seeing the pictures that people catch, the pictures of people's catches with your product. Do you happen to know like what the biggest fish is that's been caught on your product?
I do.
What is it?
It's actually on Facebook. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Mm-hmm. It's on all of them. It's a video. The guy recorded it when he was catching it. He's out of I'm gonna get it wrong. He's gonna kill me. He's in Vermont. He's either fishing in Vermont or he's from Vermont. I don't remember which one now.
The fish
it was a muskie, and that's what he's got. I think 6 of these tip ups now because of the adjustable bait tension.
Mhm.
So when that's bottomed all the way out, you get that 1.5 to 2 pound pole on there. He can run a 12-inch sucker minnow on here and it'll still hold.
Oh, wow.
And of course, wherever he was fishing with other baits like alewife or moon eye or whatever.
Mhm.
So the biggest muskie, I believe, was 64 inches, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
That's a big one.
That's a giant.
Yeah.
There's no 2 ways about that.
Yeah, and he caught some large pike. He's caught multiple muskie out there too, but those are the biggest ones I know of.
Wow. And so that is something to, when you're thinking about products and how you're going to use them, if you do want to put something like a 12-inch bait on there, that's going to be, from as far as I know, all of my tip ups, it would be a challenge. I might have to end up modifying one of my triggers or doing something to keep that on there. Because most of the fish that I try and catch are about 12 inches. So,
yeah, I've seen your pictures. You're right.
Yeah. So I'm just, when my stuff is designed to catch, the smaller stuff, it's very cool that your product has such a wide range, that adjustability, like Emily said, with the magnets is super helpful when you're trying to consolidate the amount of gear. Then you don't have to have, modified tip ups to go just for that one,
Correct.
And that goes along with your spool. You had that in mind too. If you are going out for panfish and you end up catching a bunch of small panfish and you're like, well, I might as well put one of these small panfish on my tip up. You can swap a spool out and throw the panfish on the tip up and see if you can catch something bigger,
Never know.
State dependent. We're allowed to do that, but
Yeah.
so that's a super cool thing with this tip up. I like it.
Okay, so I have to ask, we've talked all about the tip up and I'm not abandoning it, but you did mention in this show, spearing. Do you still guide?
I haven't in about 5 years. I ended up selling it off to some guy, and him and a high school kid kind of took it over. So I get calls all the time still to do it, but I try not to because this has kind of consumed my life now. But yeah.
I did love the idea though that you can go out for a day of ice fishing. You can have tip ups out, but maybe do some spearing or something during the day. You can kind of mix that up, and I don't know. I think that really, when you can mix up your day like that, you can sometimes multi-species, targets. Otherwise, like we were talking about earlier, if you have kids or friends or family or people that you're bringing out onto the ice, sometimes that change of scenery keeps them engaged.
Yes. Yeah, it gives that variety and it keeps that day action packed. That's why, like, one of my popular things was either an all day guided spearing trip was obviously our number one thing, but like our close second was a combo trip. So we would go out, walleye fishing in the morning or pan fishing or go after some perch. And then once things slowed up, then we'd jump over into the spear houses and then go spearing for the rest of the day or towards evening, and then jump back out and go after some walleyes or something again. So yeah, we did a combination all the time. And that's kind of how this whole thing started, because I was tired of, anytime, because someone books a trip, you're going that day. It doesn't matter what the weather is. It could be 90 degrees. It could be 40 below. You're still going, they paid for it. But like the snow and the blizzard and the blowing snow, like I lost tip ups out there for days because you knew it was in this general area, but you walked grids everywhere trying to kick it and you couldn't find it. And then you come back a couple of days later and you finally find it because enough snow blew off it. Which that didn't happen in Minnesota because that would be totally illegal, but in other states. But it was just, that's kind of how this thing started, because I was tired of changing lines constantly, trying to find that right lure for the bite. Or I was, jumping from panfish because it's like, I see sunfish on the camera, so I want a sunfish now. and then 2 minutes later, oh, look at that walleye. Okay, now I want a walleye fish. You know what I mean? So the kid in me came out, and it's like, I wanted to fish all of it. That's when you asked earlier, I think before the show started, what my favorite species was. Whatever's down there is what I'm excited for. So that's how this whole thing started to evolve. And I was trying to figure out how I can make something that doesn't fail in the elements and hold up in the blowing snow, or just hard snow where it holds your flag down, or lose the thing in the snow. So that's kind of how this all evolved. And it took years and years of trying different things and prototypes. And I mean, I think I have a total of 10 years from the time I first thought of something to where I actually could launch, because I was constantly changing stuff. And then like, I really wanted to do this, but I couldn't figure out how to do that. And then all of a sudden I figured a way, and then that didn't work. And then, so you go back to the drawing board, and it was some more dinking, and then finally it starts to fall together. So yeah, it took a long time to get it all, but I didn't want to release something until I was happy with it. If it's something that I wanted to fish with guiding, then I knew everybody else would too.
Yeah.
That is so exciting, to be honest. Yeah, even look at your face, even you're excited for ice now. That's what happens. And that's why we do this, is to talk about all this. And the cool thing is that you will be here in Wisconsin, and even with your ice hawk. So if other people are excited, or perhaps they even want to get this as a gift for somebody, you can come and do that in person in December. The other thing that I'm a little bit laughing about, we have a comment here from John, and he says, you guys are back, and says, where did you go? So Crappie Junction is year round, and we didn't actually go anywhere, but many of our viewers join us from the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo Facebook page, or group. And so thank you so much for joining us. We are going to continue to highlight a bunch of our vendors and products and people and things, and so much awesome stuff to come. So good news is, John, you joined us for our very first evening back. And so each Tuesday and Thursday, we will be here with everybody to talk about all this great stuff. So I think one of the things we have not done yet is, typically Josh will take the website and post it into that comment section. Because for people at home who maybe can't make it to the expo, first of all, this is a great time to plan that trip. But if you really are too far away, you can always take part and join us in the websites and all of these products, and still check all these things out. And hopefully you'll run into a bunch of the stuff on the ice this year. Maybe your own gear or your friends. So that'll be great. And so I guess with that, thanks so much for being here tonight to talk about all this with us.
Well, thanks for having me. It was great. I can't wait to get back to the expo. Last year was our first year there. Had a blast. The vendors were amazing. The variety of stuff you guys have down there versus some of the other shows I've been to was great. So I highly recommend that show for anybody listening.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, we couldn't appreciate that more. And I guess we're so excited to see you. To the people at home, we're excited to see you guys as well, because there's also always a prize patrol. So we haven't even gotten to that. And
Giveaway gang.
Giveaway gang. Oh no, that's why you're here. I know. That's why.
You're gonna get the public clearinghouse on us again.
No. That's right. Oh, I gotta get back in the game here, you guys. But that's why I said more to come, and I guess more to come.
Yeah, Thursdays.
On Thursday. So if you're joining us on Thursday, we'll probably have another fishing report, because this weather is ever changing. I don't know if we're actually going to hit the water before then, but
who knows? We're
still going to chat about it. And if you want to leave us your fishing report, let us know where you're at and what you're fishing for, and let us know when there's ice. With that, see you in the next edition of The Night Bite.
Night, everybody.